lately I've been thinking about your love and your needy baby. It's getting too much, but you're so sweet like candy, and I'm sour, so plan me.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is piusgyagenda. Today I would like to talk about one of the cameras that I've been using for a very long period of time. And if you're a beginner and you're looking to upgrade your camera, I believe this is one of the cameras you need to put into consideration. I'm going to be telling you one of the reasons as to why I feel this should be a great camera for you. And on the other hand, I'm going to be sharing with you some of its weaknesses so that you can be able to weigh both sides and see if this camera fits into the camera that you're looking for. And if you're a person who is looking out to get your first camera, also these points are going to be key for you to see if this is a camera that will be the best choice for you. Now let us roll the intro and dive straight into this video. If you're not on this channel, you're welcome. Now the camera we are going to talk about today is the Fuji Tx4. This is the camera that I'm using to shoot this particular video, and this is the camera that I've been using for the past 2 years. Now the first things that you need to understand about this camera, the body alone cost about $1,379, and this is one of the key points that you need to look at if you are going to upgrade your camera, or if you need to understand about this camera. That is the budget that it costs. So if you're someone who is looking out to buy this camera, don't forget you need to have such an amount of money in your pocket so that you can be able to buy the body on its own. For me as a person, I feel the price is always important when I'm talking about cameras, because that is where we start from. If someone is willing to buy a camera, or if someone wants to find out which camera they are going to upgrade to, or which camera they are going to buy, because the price defines if you are able to get this particular camera. And if you're not able to raise that amount of money, then that puts you in a position where you need to look at another camera. Now that you understand the price of the Fuji Tx4, let us go into more details about this camera. As someone who has been using this camera for a very long period of time, you need to understand that this camera is a mirrorless camera. What do we mean by a mirrorless camera? A mirrorless camera, that is a camera that doesn't have that glass that closes and opens for the light to go to the sensor. One of the power points for this camera is the recording time frame. Now, this camera records 30 minutes. That is when you're shooting HD. And I believe this is a good time frame if you're shooting interviews and if you're shooting documentaries. I believe 30 minutes is enough for you to shoot an interview. And if you're hoping to go beyond that time, I believe you need another camera, which is not this camera, because this camera gives you a time frame of 30 minutes, and after 30 minutes it will stop, and then all you need to do is to press record again, and then you will keep rolling. Now this is a good camera because of the fact that if it stops recording and then you tap record again, it will instantly start recording again. You need to also understand that Fuji is one of the companies that have been in the camera business for a very long period of time. If you remember those old days when we were still young, this is the company that used to make a lot of accessories and cameras during those old days. So it being the company that used to make cameras during that time ago, that means that they took a great time to think about making this camera. As a person who has been shooting events and documentaries, I've realized that slow motion is one of the essential tools that will make your videos stand out from the many videos that are posted on a daily basis online. And slow motion is also used in storytelling to reveal emotions, but also to slow down time. So if you are a person who is looking out to buy a camera, the Fuji Tx4 is one of the cameras that you need to put into consideration, because this camera shoots smooth and high quality slow motion. This camera shoots photos and video. There are those times when you need to shoot videos, and there are those times when you need to shoot photos. So if you are a person who is very passionate about photography and videography, if you are a person who loves shooting videos and photography, this is a camera that you need to put into consideration, because as a person who is always shooting documentary and also shooting after movies, there comes those points when you need to take photos, and there comes those points when you need to do videography. And in most cases, you're not able to carry two cameras with you. So if you're a person who doesn't feel like carrying a lot of gadgets, this is one of the cameras that you need to put into consideration, because of the fact that this camera shoots photos and video. I believe this is one of the functions that makes this camera amazing. Another point that I feel makes this camera powerful is the fact that this camera shoots 4K footage. For people who love shooting high quality images, this camera will enable you to achieve just that, because it shoots 4K, but it also shoots HD. But you need to understand, if you're shooting 4K, you need to have a powerful computer that will be able to edit your footage smoothly. Remember, we are in an era where quality is considered so much and loved by so many clients. So if you're a person who loves to shoot high quality images and videos, this camera has you covered, because of the fact that it shoots 4K videos. And also, when you look at its photos just out of the camera, it shoots very sharp images. So this is a camera that I would ask you to put into consideration if you're looking for a camera to buy. Another advantage that I find with the Fuji Tx4 is the fact that this camera shoots sharp images. I've run into scenarios where I shoot photos and I share them with the client, and the clients are amazed with the quality of the photos. That is because this camera shoots highly sharp images. And as a person who loves high quality images, this camera has given me an amazing experience. As a person who shoots handheld so much, this camera helps me so much due to the fact that this camera has inbuilt stabilization. That means that I've been able to shoot handheld footage that is not shaky, but it is stabilized. But you need to understand that despite of the fact that the camera will help you to stabilize your footage, but that is done to a certain extent. You need to also put time into your skill of shooting handheld, and then once you're good at holding the camera still, this camera is one of the cameras that will help you to stabilize your footage, because it has the ability to stabilize your footage. Another point that I feel this camera scores it for me as a person who has been using this camera for a very long period of time is the fact that this camera has 2 card slots, meaning if one of the cards gets filled with footage that you're recording, straight away your camera will switch to storing your footage to the second card. That is an amazing feature, and that is a great feature in a camera, meaning that there are those times when you have not backed up the footage on one card, but you have these long days to shoot or to work on a certain project. So if you are able to have a camera that can automatically switch from one card to another, that means that you are going to be able to execute without distractions of changing a card. There has been so many times when I'm shooting interviews and the card gets filled up when I'm in the middle of an interview, and I have to just stop the interview and change the card. But if you have a camera that has 2 card slots, meaning that you will not feel distracted, but instead you will just go on with what you're shooting or with the interview. So this is a scoring point for this. Another function for me that I find scores for this particular camera is the fact that in case you forgot your charger. There has been situations where I need to charge my batteries, but I don't have the exact charger. That is during long distance travels or during the long distance shoots. During such scenarios, it is easy for you to get a charger because this camera uses a C-type charger, and you will find so many chargers of a C-type because there are so many Android phones that use this charger. So this is another scoring point. I can't just talk about the amazing experience that I've had with this Fuji Tx4 camera without talking about the horrible experiences I've had with this camera, because I believe that it is very right for me to reveal to you both sides of the story so that you can be able to have the right choice that you're going to make in case you want to buy this camera, or in case that you're finding interest in this camera. Now, one of the downsides that I find this camera has is the fact that this camera overheats. As a person who has been shooting with the Sonys for a very long period of time, one of the disadvantages that I found with this camera is the fact that this camera overheats. Remember, most of the times when you're shooting videos, you want people's emotions to stay on the top, but stopping them when they're at the point when these emotions are starting to unveil, this is going to take those emotions back. When you stop an interview or when you stop a recording, people that you have been recording are going to feel low and their moods are going to change at any point during the recording. So you need to have a camera that you can rely on, and a camera that overheats is a camera that is going to let you down during at the most important times of your recording. So I feel if this camera wasn't a camera that overheats that easily, it would have been an amazing camera. But also for people who record 4K footage, this camera is going to let you down so many times, because this camera, when you're recording 4K, it overheats a lot. And also, if you're recording under the sunshine, then that is going to make it horrible for you. So this is one of the disadvantages that I fear lets this camera down compared to other cameras like the Sony cameras. Now, another disadvantage that I found with this camera is the recording limit. A camera being able to record only 30 minutes, that makes it a weak point for someone who records footage that goes beyond that time frame. I've been able to shoot videos that go beyond that. For example, when I'm shooting the unpopular opinion videos, we have run into situations where we have to stop the recording just because the camera is overheating, and then by the time we come back, you'll find that the mood in the room has changed. So this makes it a disadvantage to the person who is shooting, but also that means that you will not be able to give your clients the best experience of their recording moment. Now, another disadvantage that I find with this camera is the fact that its autofocus sometimes leaves the subject and then it will look for something else. And this makes it a disadvantage to this camera. However much that this camera has an amazing autofocus, but there comes a time when it focuses on other subjects that I don't want. Now, this wouldn't be a problem for me as a person who uses manual focus most of the time, but there are scenarios where you can avoid using autofocus. For example, like right now when I'm shooting these particular videos for myself, meaning I can't be on the camera and it is hard for me to target where my focus is going to be, unless I have someone around here that I can use to mark the point where I'm going to stand, and then I can mark that point. But if I don't have anyone to assist me when I'm shooting these particular videos, that means that I have to rely on autofocus. But sometimes there are videos that I've shot and then the camera is focusing on the background and not me, meaning that the Fuji company needs to think through the camera's autofocus capabilities of their cameras, or they need to release software that you can install to these cameras, and then you have amazing autofocus that you can strongly rely on. Another disadvantage that I find with this camera is the fact that this camera is selective when it comes to recording cards. I've been into situations where I have cards that work for other cameras, but when I put it into this camera rejects that particular card. So a camera being selective with cards, it will put you in situations where you need to buy new cards again and again, meaning that I need to buy cards for it alone and then cards for other cameras. Yet I'm used to situations where I have a number of cards that I can use for all cameras. Thank you for watching this video. If this video has been useful for you, don't forget to smash that like button, but also to click that subscribe button so that you can be notified every time I upload videos, because I upload videos every single week. My name is piusgyagenda. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.